Hello there, you're with NDTV. I'm Maha Siddiqui. As the Congress party inches towards elections for the president, Rahul Gandhi has once again said he doesn't want to lead the party. However, many in the Congress still want the Gandhis to helm the party. Ashok Gehlot saying that he should consider the sentiments of the party workers. The election for the post of the president has now become a challenge for the Congress, with the reluctance of the party leader Rahul Gandhi to contest the polls. But can the challenge be turned into an opportunity to rid the party of the dynastic politics tag? Can this lead to its survival rather than demise? Is a Gandhi-Mukt Congress possible? That's the discussion this evening at 7 p.m. Let's quickly listen in first of all to what Digvijay Singh had to say today when he was asked about the statements by other leaders that Rahul Gandhi should take over as the president of the party. He said that no one can be forced to accept that role. The remark comes in the backdrop of Ashok Gehlot's statement saying that workers will be disappointed if Rahul Gandhi doesn't take over. The party's election authority has said that it will stick to the schedule of electing a new chief by the 20th of September.
Everybody will ask is about Rahul Gandhi. He's going to kick it off, but there's a big question mark about his leadership. In fact, you saw Ashok Gehlot say that Congress workers will be disappointed if he doesn't become Congress president. What would you appeal to him?
Well, that appeal is known to everyone, but it depends on Mr. Rahul Gandhi.
He's adamant that he doesn't want to take over. So how do you look at that? Because this will be really, because everybody will say the question is about leadership, you see.
How can you force anyone?
So then what happens then? Then what happens then? What is the future of the party? How do you take a party?
The future of the party is bright.
So here you have it. The future of the party is bright, but you can't force anybody. That continues to be a big question mark as Rahul Gandhi will embark on that Bharat Jodo Yatra from Kanyakumari on the 7th of September.
देखो राहुल गांधी नहीं बनते अगर मान लीजिए तो इसमें देश में कांग्रेस में निराशा आएगी, कई लोग घर बैठ जाएंगे और तकलीफ होगी हम लोगों को। उनको चाहिए कि वो आम कांग्रेस जन की भावनाओं को समझते हुए पूरे देश के अंदर उनको खुद को ये पद स्वीकार करना चाहिए।
Meanwhile, Jairam Ramesh has said that the elections will be held as per the schedule on the 20th of September.
जो तारीख तय किए गए हैं नामांकन पत्र भरने के लिए, स्क्रूटिनी के लिए, वापस लेने के लिए और बाद में जो जिस दिन चुनाव होगा उसकी घोषणा होगी, तब देखते रहिएगा। ऐसे तो मोटे तौर से कहा गया है कि ये जो प्रक्रिया है 20 अगस्त को उसकी शुरुआत है और 21 सितंबर तक खत्म हो जाएगी। अभी एग्जैक्ट डेट क्या है, तारीख क्या है चुनाव के लिए, वो अभी कुछ ही दिनों में उसकी घोषणा होगी और देखें बाद में क्या होता है।
Let me now go across to our guests who are joining us on the show. Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst, supports the Gandhis. Rashid Kidwai, senior journalist and author. And Sanjay Jha, former leader of the Congress party. Tehseen, coming first to you. Why should the party want a reluctant leader to take over the helm of affairs? Shouldn't the person who leads the party, lead it from the front, want to do it?
Good evening, Ma. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Good evening to both my fellow panelists and to all your viewers. There's just 2 or 3 aspects I want to put in, and I'll be very brief on them. A, I'm a Congress voter. I would ideally like the Gandhis to take on. There's a reason for this, because I know one thing for a fact, that the Gandhis will never ever compromise with the RSS. And the legacy that the Gandhis have been the only family that have sacrificed their lives in independent India politically for the integrity and unity of this country. Therefore, we are, as voters, we identify with the Gandhis, just like BJP voters may identify with the RSS. So for us, that's a matter of fate. Now, you cannot question fate. It's chemistry. Now, that's part 1. Part 2 of your question, can the Congress survive without the Gandhis? Yes, of course it can. The fact of the matter is, unlike other political parties, say the NCP, say the TMC, say the erstwhile Shiv Sena, say KCRG's party, the Gandhis don't own the Congress. The Gandhis are custodians of a trust called Congress, and we put our faith in the Gandhis, and they're just trustees. They're mere trustees, and our faith is in them. They don't own the Congress. The Congress is the country's party. So yes, it can, but we would like the Gandhis to continue in that role. Third point, where I'd like to end. Mr. Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi in particular, has been instrumental in wanting to work for the country, bringing out legislative changes that can empower the country, whether it is RTI, food security, the ordinance against criminal.
But he doesn't want to lead the party, Tehseen. He doesn't want to lead the party. He's himself saying that. I'll go across to Rashid. I'll come back to you.
Can I just finish?
Tehseen, I'll come back to you.
Because that's the part that's got cut out. Just let me finish that.
Okay, all right, quickly.
Yes, at this moment, he may be slightly reluctant to lead the party, but that is something, he'll have to take as and when the elections come closer. Right now, the elections are far off. We'd like him to contest. Ultimately, it's his choice.
Barely a month away.
He will.
Barely a month away. Party elections barely a month away. Let me go across to Rashid Kidwai. Rashid Kidwai, why is the party so dependent on the Gandhis?
Because I think, Maha, the political leadership of the Congress has been with the Gandhis for past 2-3 decades. So therefore, average Congress person wants a Gandhi to lead. And second problem is that because of this ED questioning, etc., there is a view within the Congress that feels that at this point of time, Gandhis should be leading the Congress party. Otherwise, they will be left to fend for themselves. And third thing is, Maha, and it's very significant, is the time period. As per the Congress Constitution, the office of Congress President is for 5 long years. So today, if somebody becomes by 21st of September, that person will have tenure till 2027, September 2027. So that is something that's weighing heavily. Rahul Gandhi has always been a kind of reluctant one. I think Congress is quite allergic to change. They are looking for perhaps a halfway somewhere where Sonia Gandhi remains some kind of, in an overall role and bring someone else, a non-Gandhi member, as a working president, etc.
All right, Sanjay, if not the Gandhis, who then? Who do you think has the drive in them to lead the party?
Maha, let me tell you that, there is this Tina factor that people talk about. There is no alternative to Narendra Modi. There is no alternative to Rahul Gandhi within the Congress. These are nothing but exaggerated notions of invincibility which is given to political personalities. I think it insults the collective intelligence of India that after Narendra Modi, there will be no one fit enough to be Prime Minister today. If people have to choose, it's ridiculous. Whoever gets a chance will rise to the occasion. But let me address the Congress question. The Gandhis' contribution to the party, let's not even waste our time. They have done a wonderful job both for the party and the country. But now let's make it a more contemporary discussion. 2014, you're knocked out. 2019, you're knocked out for the second time. Worse, you have been losing state elections consistently, barring a sporadic victory here and there. Somebody will ask a question that 2 routes, and you have a 3rd Lok Sabha election in 2 years. And for 3 years, the Congress party has been what? Sleepwalking? Somnambulating? In a deep snooze? It doesn't make any sense at all. For heaven's sake, politics is a competitive place. It's a zero-sum game. A Congress's loss is BJP's gain. A BJP's loss is Congress's gain or the opposition's gain. Therefore, if the Congress party today, with due respects to both my friends, Rashid and to Tehseen, you got to learn to move on. I believe that if Rahul is saying I'm reluctant, and I trust he is reluctant, why would the Congress party, why are veterans like Ashok Gehlot and the others saying, but we want Rahul Gandhi to come back? It doesn't make any sense.
Because is it possible, Sanjay, is it possible that they believe that nobody else will be able to call the shots? Ultimately, anybody helming the party might become a farce. Tehseen, is that the fear? Is that why people want the Gandhis to continue?
Can I just say one thing to my dear friend Sanjay and Rashid ji sitting here, for whom I have a lot of respect. Look, in the 136 odd years of the Congress history, the Gandhi-Nehru family has only been in presidential position for about 45 years. The rest of it has always been a non-Gandhi, non-Nehru president. So it's not that the Congress DNA speaking cannot associate with somebody who's not a Gandhi. They've always been there. What I'm trying to say is, while I understand there have been defeats, we have faith in the Gandhi leadership, and that's fine. Look, Sanjay, you can come here and try and analyze this clinically, but chemistry with the Gandhis is something you won't understand. You have to be passionate like me to understand why we want the Gandhis, and it's our democratic right to want the Gandhis.
But where is it leading the party? Tehseen, at the end of the day, it should benefit the party.
I'm answering that. We are not saying that there is a Tina factor. I'm not saying that. I'm saying there is a Sita factor. Sita, someone is there always. That someone we want should be Gandhi. If Gandhi does not want to be there, there will be an alternative. Who's saying that there is a Tina factor? There is no Tina. There is Sita. But
Okay.
if we want Gandhis, I think that's fine. Allow us to choose Sita over Tina. Why Sanjay?
All right, so there's a Tina factor, there is a Sita factor, but Rashid, will a non-Gandhi ever have the kind of free hand that the Gandhis have had with the party?
I think, Maha, if you look at the history of the Congress, Tehseen is technically right in saying that only for 45 years that been a Congress president, belonging to Nehru Gandhi family. But again, I would say the political leadership has always been with the Gandhis. Only exception was P.V. Narasimha Rao when Sonia Gandhi was not in active politics, and Sitaram Kesri. But the moment Sonia came in, Sitaram Kesri had to go. And here, Maha, imagine, if there is a non-Gandhi Congress president, he or she will have to deal with 3 members of Gandhi family, very active, having opinion, and having some kind of hold in one section or other of the Congress party. So entire AICC secretariat, or you look at states and all, they all have been controlled and kind of appointed by Rahul Gandhi. Sort of team Rahul Gandhi is in place. So it would be very out of place to have someone else, and there will be a lot of disquiet and confrontation.
But Rashid, is there still a team Gandhi? Because most of the prominent faces who were associated with Rahul Gandhi seem to have been slowly leaving the party. Sanjay Jha, would you weigh in on that?
Well, let me tell you this. There is actually a Nita factor. Let me forget Sita. There's a Nita factor. Let me tell you what that is. The Nita factor is numerous individuals, the alternative. So Tina and Nita, this has got nothing to do with the Ambani family, but the Nita factor is a truism. Now, you asked me a very pertinent question. If not the Gandhis, who? And I have publicly written columns, and I have also written it to people within the Congress, that the ideal model for the Congress to do today is to have both Priyanka and Sachin Pilot leading the party. Priyanka will be a different Gandhi. She is yet, I think, not totally tested. She's charismatic. She's a communicator. She talks to the media. I know her personally well enough to know that she's good in managing her relationships, things that Rahul is not really credited for. So she can keep the loyalists happy, like Tehseen. And then you have a Sachin Pilot, who I think brings in a different, oomph to the party. You need to bring in someone who's young, hungry, ambitious, hardworking, and politically, he's got an acumen of his own. So if you bring a Pilot Priyanka game, I think the so-called overrated double engine of Modi and Shah will be defeated even now. But the question is, the Congress needs to take these bold decisions. And your question again is relevant. The G23 was never anti the Gandhi family or the Congress. All they said was, can we stop losing to the BJP so consistently as if we are dying to lie down on a red carpet and ask them to trample all over us? I don't think that is called an anti-party activity. And the truth is, the G23 could have also put up an alternative candidate. But again, there are big egos. Maha, you're a seasoned journalist. Even amongst them, to agree to a name was another big, monumental Himalayan challenge.
Okay. Tehseen, I know you want to come in, but even as a loyalist, would you say the Congress can use this as an opportunity at the moment? If Rahul Gandhi doesn't want to helm the affairs of the party, can somebody else come in and therefore it can be advantageous to the party for the time being?
No disputes with Sanjay on Sita or Nita. Nita is more than welcome. There's no dispute on that. So that point is well taken. But let me make a larger point, and I completely agree and concede to the point that the Congress does need to work on itself. For example, let me give you an example of day before yesterday's meeting of where Rahul Gandhi ji on the Bharat Jodo was at the Constitution Club. To see Yogendra Yadav sit next to Rahul Gandhi broke my heart. I mean, here's a man who wished death for the Congress. So yes, the Congress has to also course correct, be away from these lefties, be away from this left cabal. So I agree that has to happen in the Congress. But let me give you a factual thing. In the CWC meeting, and Rashid will be able to help me on that. When Rahul Gandhi stepped down, nobody wanted to become president. They forced Mrs. Gandhi to become interim president. So look, at one point you criticize Mr. Gandhi that, look, he is not performing. You don't give him the team. How many people took up the Chowkidar Chore jibe? Yours is not to question why. Yours is but to do or die. The captain decided that's the course of action.
But that doesn't reflect very well on Rahul Gandhi. Even as a leader, even as a Gandhi, people are not following, the cues that he is giving.
It was the same people in for example, Azad Saab. I'll take names. I'm not I don't want to join politics. Azad Saab gives big talks. Anand Sharma gives big talks. When was the last time they campaigned for the Congress? I'm asking you, when did Azad Saab go to Bihar, Uttar Pradesh to campaign? When did Anand Sharma go? So look, ultimately they may want the good in their heart, but intentions will only fructify if you're on the ground. They aren't on the ground. And when Mrs. Rahul Gandhi stepped down, all of these people in the CWC forced Mrs. Gandhi
Rashid,
to become
is that
president.
the problem overall with the party, that people do not want to step out and do work on the ground like the BJP workers do?
This can be argued whether the Congress is failing Gandhis or Gandhis are failing the Congress. But that's a very kind of, debate chicken and egg kind of story. Maha, you and me, we come from Lucknow. You see, this Congress is witnessing presidential elections, the typical that Lucknowi culture. Pehle aap. Those who are saying no, because in Congress you cannot aspire and get the job. Those who are actually contenders, they are saying, no, we are not interested, Rahul ji should be there. And Rahul Gandhi also perhaps would want the entire Congress working committee and everyone to, come and, plead with him to take the leadership. So there is a lot of posturing that is going on. Please don't look at that, Congress leader or their pronouncements on face value.
All right. Sajid, I have just 30 seconds. Make your point because you were raising your hand there.
Maha, let me tell you, the difference between the Congress and the BJP is the hunger to win. And I believe when you are an entitled politician, when you get all the goodies falling on your lap very automatically, you don't have that sense of urgency to get things going. I think the hunger to win only comes when you got to work towards it. When there's a struggle, when you see failure and you're uncertain, there are no guarantees.
I think the Congress has seen enough failure now. That hunger should now be there.
We'll
have to leave it at that. We'll have to leave it at that. I'm afraid I've really run out of time. Tehseen, I've really run out of time.
I will finish. Just 5 seconds.
Okay, all right.
I'm talking about the leadership.
Sanjay, the struggle, the leadership, the Gandhis, Priyanka and Rahul have seen, losing their father, losing their grandmother. I wish that on nobody. Don't mock their struggle, Sanjay.
All right. We'll leave it at that. Many thanks to all three of you for joining us here on this discussion.